Warning: the following podcast is utter nonsense and may cause agoraphobia, kleptomania, insomnia, and oppositional defiance disorder. We are required by law to provide you with this disclaimer for hazardous materials.
Welcome to the quarantine edition of Hazardous Materials, last week's comics this week. My name is Casey. With me as always,
Gideon Gonzalez. And you might notice we're not on our normal set today.
Yeah. This is we're isolating ourselves. We're being responsible citizens, even though I'm almost sure that the studio is COVID free. We've decided to keep it this way. And we don't really have a whole lot of comics to discuss because our favorite publishers have been kind of reeling it back.
Yeah, there was we've also had a couple of sick days the last few weeks, so didn't want to just pour on a bunch of old books on you. So we're just going to cover some of our highlights from that last week of published comics and talk about why there aren't published comics from the last week or two.
So we kind of picked out three of our favorites from the past couple of weeks. And the first thing I think we should probably talk about is how awesome Hellions is.
Oh my God. Hellions is a delight. I was kind of lukewarm when the book was announced. I wasn't crazy about the lineup, but I liked Zeb Wells enough that I was willing to give it a shot. And man, he and Steven Segovia just blew me away with this one.
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard about this whole concept about all the mutants coming back dead or a deep power, they're all going to come back to this nation. And it's like the first thing comes to my mind because I am a huge fan of the mid-'80s story Marvel Mutant Massacre. And so it's like, well, the Marauders are mutants, and so are their victims. How is that going to gel? Well, this story addresses that directly within like the first few pages.
Pile on Grey Crow.
Yeah, so apparently some of the Morlocks that the Marauders had killed are back and alive, including the famously first Morlock, Tommy, the rainbow-colored one. And the man that murdered her is sitting on the beach, with his thoughts. And one of the other Morlocks, who, if I'm not mistaken, is Cybele. Say, hey, we found him, and it's like, so what are you doing? It's gun cleaning time. It's like, when is gun cleaning time? Every day is gun cleaning time. And so they attack him. And then you don't really see what happens, but then later on, you find that he's been arrested, and the island thinks that he has attacked the Morlocks. And as Storm put it, haven't you done enough to these poor defenseless Morlocks? And to which he answers, I guess not.
It should be noticed that the book itself takes place on the anniversary of the Mutant Massacre. Havoc makes a note of that when he and some X-Men are out busting a group of guys looking to do another mutant massacre. And Havoc loses control and kind of shows that the inversion stuff from Axis is still in play, which I was really surprised about. I thought we kind of all agreed to forget Axis ever happened, but here we are.
Hey, now, we don't want to besmirch Axis. Axis gave me my heroic Sabretooth. So.
And did give me a very good Hobgoblin book and the only good Iron Man book of the 21st century. So, there's other good ones, but it's the best one.
The Superior Iron Man was really good.
It's real damn good.
I actually finally got a Hero Clicks of Superior Iron Man, and I'm waiting to use him and use all of his mocking beratements the entire time.
All of his Apple Store glory.
Yes.
But
I will give you beauty and take it away from you, and then charge you $100 a day for it.
But we also have Empath from the original Hellions, who is complete bastard.
Yeah,
controls people's emotions, and so he just makes mutants get in fights for fun, and that's what gets him dragged towards the High Council to be maybe thrown into the sad pit.
And that's the whole thing. All these mutants are basically collected in front of the Quiet Council. They're trying to figure out, while they haven't murdered anybody, they've definitely done some horrible crap.
Yeah.
And are they going to put him in the pit with Sabretooth?
Nanny and Orphan Maker, two of my favorite really weird late 80s, early 90s X-villains. They're back. Little egg with lipstick.
They put lipstick on Nanny this time, and it freaks somebody out because, oh my God, it just looks so real now.
And Mr. Sinister comes with the idea to basically turn them into a mutant suicide squad. Like, just throw them at problems that can let their violent tendencies go whole hog. Oh, also, what's his name? Wild Child? Is that
Wild Child?
Yeah, Wild Child.
Because apparently somebody didn't have the forethought not to put Sabretooth in a frickin' pit.
Should have put Wild Child in there.
Yeah, but Sabretooth would have been great. Okay, I'm being fanboyish. Let's reel that back.
Maybe they'll throw you a bone and give you like Age of Apocalypse Sabretooth or something.
Yeah, he was great.
But Wild Child and Quanin round out the book. And she's basically like the field leader for them. And they go to one of Sinister's old orphanages, only to find, well, they actually haven't found her yet. They'll find her.
No, but they're going to. And it was a final page reveal that Madeline Pryor is there. And she has all of the Marauders. Yeah, you know what? We're getting ahead of ourselves here. It should be noted that the only Marauder that went to Krakoa is Scalp Hunter. None of the others entertained the idea for whatever reason. And also that Sinister is doing this whole thing, not so much because he wants a Suicide Squad, on paper, as he explains it. But
he's doing it to cover his own ass.
Yeah, he's trying to rehab it. And they actually go into some pretty deep analysis on exactly why Hellion himself, or not Hellion, but Empath is the way he is. Because a person's natural tendency when they've done something wrong and they see the negative impacts, whether someone giving you anger or sadness or crying, is you want to fix it. You want to make things right. You want to do something about that. But since Empath and the way his abilities work, that no matter what horrible thing he does, he always gets positive reinforcement. His powers have actually damaged him and made him the way he is. And that idea is, that Empath is the victim of his own abilities.
Cool backstory, still murder. still a piece of shit.
Yeah, and he's actually using his own teammates to screw. He's using Cat's Eye against Tarot and Roulette, which I'm glad to see they're alive.
Yeah. Will Tarot show up with a Magic the Gathering deck? Only time will tell.
She's not doing her shtick when they brought her back before all this, where she was like all robed out and mysterious. And how did Tarot come back from the dead? And they all kind of allude to the fact that maybe she's magical. And well, apparently that's right out the freaking window because now she just looks normal.
Pink jumpsuits for all.
Yeah.
So I love that last reveal that Sinister doesn't really care about them. I mean, we all could have guessed that. But the fact that it's all just a front to get rid of his biggest problem that can't just be swept under the rug. He's got to throw a whole bunch of mutant murderers at Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen. It was great. Inferno is possibly my favorite X-Men story, so it's really great seeing all these callbacks to it.
Did you see Sinister assessing Exodus as he sat next to him? He's like practically in the middle of his talk. He goes, "Are your pultrudes larger than mine now?" That's
you don't want to go this road. you try to outgame my shoulder pads, you will fail.
I love this new Sinister, and that's hard to do because Sinister's been around since the 80s, and usually people who are fans of a character don't like change, myself included. But this change on Sinister is perfect.
It's great. Frankenfurter Sinister is the best thing done with the character.
Exactly. As that totally explains, number one, the ridiculous name, the ridiculous cape, the ridiculous theatrics of everything he's done since then. I remember the first appearance of him. He had like a mouth full of shark teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that is not classy nor elegant, so that is no longer a thing.
So yeah, Hellions #1, really, really good. Go pick it up.
Highly recommend it.
The other big X-Men #1 was Giant-Sized Nightcrawler #1 from Jonathan Hickman and returning Nightcrawler icon Alan Davis. And it's awesome seeing his art. He is up there with Dave Cockrum for like definitive Nightcrawler artists for me.
I got a buddy of mine who swears by Excalibur. He loves Excalibur. And since he's a casual comic book fan, he doesn't really know who drew it. So once I kind of point out, I was like, listen, this Alan Davis, this is the reason why you love the Excalibur you love. So you're going to like this. I actually think that the reason why they even call this giant-sized Nightcrawler, even though he's not the star of this book, by any stretch of the imagination.
He is part of an ensemble.
Yeah, it's because Alan Davis drew it.
Oh yeah.
And they're kind of trying to get that old Excalibur crowd. And one of the few people that I can actually draw Nightcrawler and his perfect costume properly.
His big old coif of hair. Love the way Alan Davis does Nightcrawler's hair. But he's part of an ensemble with Magic, Eye-Boy, and good old Cypher, my favorite New Mutant. And they go to investigate what's been happening at the old Xavier mansion. And there's a lot of...
I was going to say, they've been using Eye-Boy a lot. It seems like they have a lot of plans for this guy.
He's got a great power. He's covered in eyes, and he can see all through different spectrums. He can trace magic. He can do chemtrails. Love that kid.
Yeah, but ever since this whole thing started, I haven't seen Nature Girl.
Yeah, that is kind of surprising. She's part of that crew. She might have been in that giant Where's Waldo page from X-Force a couple weeks ago.
I bet you she was. I hope she didn't have the gigantic antlers that she had.
The moose ones?
Shelf. Yeah, the moose ones. I've always liked the deer ones better.
Yeah. But so they find in the old Xavier place, after some really great action sequences of Kurt bamfing around, a whole bunch of little robot dudes. Like I wasn't super familiar with them. I'm not super well versed on Excalibur, so I don't know if that's an existing thing.
They're actually old school X-Men villains from like the Starjammer stories right around the 150s, I think.
Okay. I have to say I don't remember them. It's been a
I'm spraining my brain to remember them too.
Yeah.
The only reason I remember all these details is because I saw them in an old Marvel universe, because I was like, hey, they kind of look like a spaceship. So it just kind of stuck in my brain.
The bigger thing for me, though, was we finally have definitive proof Warlock's still alive.
Yeah, and why is that a secret?
Communicate with little robots.
Why is that a secret? I mean, we saw a hint of it in a book that came out maybe a week or two ago, where somebody walked in on Doug while he didn't realize somebody was coming. And bold as day, there's Doug, there's Warlock. And then just as the guy's doing a double take, Doug's by himself and he's got his arm back and there's no one sitting there.
That was the scene I dubbed David Lynch's X-Men. It was delightfully Twin Peaks-esque. I loved it.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got to know, why are they hiding Warlock? And why are they hiding Warlock from the X-Men?
Yeah, they don't give you any details on it. You just get Warlock says hi to Magic, and Doug's like, hey, don't tell anyone about this. And then goes back on his arm. Yeah,
it's like, please just don't tell anybody. No explanation. But it was nice to see Warlock, and it was really Warlock. It wasn't like an altered version of him or a Douglock version of him. It was the Sienkiewicz crazy hair Warlock.
Full-on big old teeth.
Yeah.
Right. And they let the little robot dudes hang out in the mansion. They're like, okay, now we know what's up. Cool. We don't really need this place. There's also a couple of hints of because the robots replicate John Proudstar and Rachel, which mostly is kind of a way to screw with Nightcrawler, but it really has me thinking, are they gonna bring back Thunderbird? Like,
I've been waiting for them to say something about Thunderbird since this whole thing started.
Yeah. Like I was gonna say the first dead X-Man, but no, Changeling's the first dead X-Man. So,
and well, actually, no, they've already addressed the fact that Changeling is Morph, and Morph is Changeling, and I think he's popped up in this whole thing.
Okay, so that's something. The first dead X-Man has popped up, but the first dead, all new, all different X-Man.
It's too bad that Mimic can't be part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Mimic deserves his time in the sun ever since Dark X-Men.
Man, I was reading some Silver Age X-Men yesterday, and my God, Mimic is just insufferable in those old issues.
Oh, in the old school? Absolutely.
Like it's, first off, crazy. They beat this guy, and then Xavier's like, he has all of your powers. I will let him join our team and make him our new field leader. So everyone hates him. And he's a huge jerk to everyone because he's just been kicking their asses the last couple issues.
And he's not a mutant.
No. Just a guy with big feet, wings, and a visor sometimes.
But he deserves to be there. But more than once, the X-Men have pointed out, you can be here because you're a mutant, but your sister can't be here. This is not her home. So there's no doubt about it that Mimic is definitely not invited to this soiree.
Well, maybe he'll show up as a villain in a book.
And Long Shot, another guy that deserves to be in this place.
Maybe he'll be Dazzler's +1.
You might be onto something there.
So with that, gonna move to our last book for today, Immortal Hulk, big number 750, even though I disagree that you should count Immortal and Totally Awesome Hulk as Incredible Hulk's numbering because they're different titles. But whatever, we got a big giant size issue to round out this creepy Zemnu arc. And Zemnu turns Dario Agger into hamburger. And just a big gross pile of meat with horns and teeth stuck out. Gnarly stuff.
I didn't get a chance to read this, but listening to your description of it before we started rolling, because we were trying to decide, which books are we really going to pick out? And it was like, we're definitely going to pick out some X-Men books. And then you go Immortal Hulk, and I'm like, well, I haven't read that. And then you described to me just what happens in this book. It's like, oh yeah, we're talking about that.
So the intricacies of the whole Dario and Zemnu plot are revealed, where Zemnu is using his powers to hypnotize people, make them forget about other superheroes, think just about Zemnu. And it's how he's infiltrating their minds and shutting them down to outside suggestion. He's also been doing that to the Hulk himself, to each of his individual different personas. So what winds up happening is they find that they're stuck on Bruce. All the other Hulks are shut down. So while you're having all the other outside stuff going on, you have in the Mindscape, Worldbreaker Hulk is like taking Savage Hulk around, being like, hey, I'm trying to keep everything together. You're our last shot we got to break out of here. And when he breaks out, he goes out of Banner's mouth by tearing Banner in half.
Of course he does.
Like, grabs the jaw, tears down, steps out. It is beautifully gnarly.
I wonder if we could pull a fast one since we're doing this on Skype. Can we actually show that picture in this? Rob, is that possible? Can we do that in the edit?
We have to do Google Food really quick.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do some stunts here because we're definitely running off of a different production. But I definitely want to see that image. I'm trying
to think of what other delightful bits happen. Oh yeah, so Zemnu he's been eating quite a few people. Dario Agger has been feeding them. And Dario finds out, this is before Dario gets pulped, of course. He finds out that Zemnu's victims turn into little creepy Zemnu-faced slaves of Zemnu.
Of course they do.
He's like, this is a PR disaster. We cannot let our hero's face be on the horde of these monsters. And that's when Zemnu eats Dario. And
Lord.
Hulk shows up, sees Dario's still living remains, goes to fight Zemnu, and Zemnu is hypnotizing him, doing his whole, I'm sending you to the magic planet, because the little cartoon they've been talking about is Zemnu's Magic Planet, which I didn't know was an old Defenders story. I had not read it before, but Zemnu had an early appearance. It's in one of the Marvel feature issues before Defenders got their own book, where he does the same plot. Obviously, it's much less gory and horrific, but he's hypnotizing people to TVs and using a children's cartoon. That's actually, I almost forgot about this. There's a great bit where Zemnu is talking about how the way the world has changed has made his plans work so much easier because, as he puts it, everyone has a TV in their pocket, and he holds up a smartphone and looks through it. It's really creepy.
Do you remember when Zenmu was like this? Do you remember?
You remember Zemnu,
You remember Zemnu.
Zemnu, the man without fear? Earth's mightiest hero, Zemnu?
Because you talk about Defenders, and of course, as some of us older comic historians remember that the Defenders was Silver Surfer, Submariner, Doctor Strange, and Hulk. It's basically Brooks' dream lineup. But then, of course, I guess around the 25s, 30s, or whatever it is, that whole team just goes away, and it just becomes this crazy, weird team with
Valkyrie, Hellcat, Son of Satan, Nighthawk's there. I love classic Defenders. It is,
and I got introduced into Defenders in the legendary Defenders of It for a Day. Do you remember this storyline?
I know, I don't.
So what happened is the Defenders were having problems because they were losing members and everything like this. This is around the 150s.
Okay.
I don't know. No, actually, it was around the 60s. What do I know? Anyway, so they put an all call out for all these people to show up to join the Defenders, and man, like all these weird characters come in. And since I'm a kid, I'm getting introduced to all these characters for the first time in this book. This is how I found when I first ran into Havoc, Polaris, Paramount Iron Fist, Torpedo, the Zodiac, Son of Satan, Hellstrom.
Love that dude.
But all these weird characters showing up. Black Goliath, back when that was an acceptable name. I guess I've reclaimed it. It's okay again. It's okay again now. But yeah, they have all kinds of weird D-listers coming for this. Highly recommend you pick it up. It's a 2-issue spread called Defenders for a Day, and just so many D-listers. And that's what I was like, in my head I was confused because, wow, that Havoc guy kind of looks like Torpedo. Torpedo kind of looks like Havoc. I wonder if they're related. What do I know?
Different brothers. But so Zemnu's plot is ultimately foiled when he tries to mind whammy Hulk, and he does successfully like cage the Savage Hulk, but he doesn't realize the one Hulk that's still left on deck, and it's Worldbreaker Hulk, who, when Zemnu tells him, "Welcome to Zemnu's magic planet," responds with, "Welcome to Planet Hulk," and just one punch destroys him.
So the name Worldbreaker is literal.
Yes, yeah, Worldbreaker Hulk comes back.
This is what little I know about the Hulk.
Oh, he's the one that went on Sakaar and became a gladiator king, and then lost his wife, and then in a rage punched the shit out of the ground.
That's right.
And he came and just beat everyone's ass in World War Hulk. So yeah, I don't know this is the first time Worldbreaker's popped up since World War Hulk, but it's been a good while since he popped up. So it was very satisfying seeing him just one punch Zemnu.
So no more Zemnu for right now.
No, he gone.
Okay.
Dario Agger not in any position to do anything.
What does he look like? I gotta know what he looks like.
Disgusting.
But does it just look like a quivering mass of hamburger with horns coming out of it?
I mean, kind of. It's real gross. But fear not, we get a tease for the villain going forward, who we got a tease for before, but now they reveal Rick Jones, who's been kind of just a creepy, skinny pseudo corpse floating around with like bright green eyes, has not been Rick Jones this whole time. He's been puppeted by the Leader.
Ooh.
So
okay,
Leader stuff in upcoming issues. I'm very excited for it.
Good
Leader
old
is my
school
favorite.
Leader.
Yeah, tall head and everything.
Oh, it's not butt headed. It's the tall head.
No. Yeah, this ain't Todd McFarlane's testicle Leader. This is good old fashioned flat top all the way up Leader. And he's got a tiny version of the Green Door, which was the portal in the second arc that led to Hell. So the Leader might be in Hell? ? We'll see. It's some wild stuff. I'm very excited to see what
I'm wondering if my meat switch worked.
Joe Bennett had in store for us. And yeah, that's gonna do it for our book coverage. So I guess we move to take a break or move right along to movie news. All right, I'll take a quick break.
Hey everybody, this is Brooke with Haphazard Fiction Studios, and I hope everybody is staying safe out there. It's a pretty weird time as we try to figure out, I guess, what our new normal is going to be for the near future. We have missed you here at Haphazard Fiction Studios, and the guys from Hazardous Materials, last week's comics this week, are happy to be back in your homes, your ears, your YouTube feeds, wherever you're checking us out at. But as we continue to go forward, we are definitely looking to find out how we're going to be able to bring you guys content. So if you've got any ideas or feedback, please let us know. Anything you'd like us to talk about, any particular graphic novels you'd like us to discuss, let us know. It gives us time to read up and have a discussion around topics that you guys are looking for. But for now, we're just happy to be back in any format, and thanks again for tuning in, and I take you back to Casey and Gideon with Hazardous Materials.
And welcome back. So with our news section, I do want to start off with just some comic news involving why we're not going to be having books for the next few weeks. So Obviously, lots of places across the country, businesses are shutting down. Diamond Comics is no exception. They said that it's like March 18th, I think, or March 24th is their last shipping date for comics, and it's been true so far. Past couple weeks have gone by, no new books, which sucks, frankly, but it is what it is. At a publisher level, we've been having a lot of, like, IDW and Valiant have told their creators, pencils down, don't be working on projects right now, no money's coming in. Yeah. Marvel has announced that they are cutting a third of their publishing line down. They're still going to be working on stuff, not releasing stuff, because they still got a bunch of stuff in the can that was supposed to be ready to go, but they're waiting on releasing it digitally to when they can release it physically as well, which on the one hand, as a comics retailer, I appreciate, but as someone who really wants to read new X-Men stories, it's a little frustrating.
And, that was something that was really kind of messing with me too, because I was wondering, wow, are the comics retailers, not retailers as in the comic stores like the way you would, but I'm talking about like the publishers. I was wondering if they were just going to go digital just so they could have that income. And it's like, well, if they go digital, that means the physical medium of that issue doesn't exist. And that kind of screws people over on collecting. Yeah. And that just goes back to the fact that it's always going to have a physical medium. If you ever decide to go digital only, it's going to be a revolution. No one wants that.
Well, we might forcibly be having one. We'll see how things develop in the next couple of months. But DC hasn't said anything about their plans outside of their doing the same, pausing digital releases until they can catch up with physical. But as far as their publishing line, they haven't announced anything yet. So it was already a tumultuous time for DC with their change of leadership. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about that in the last episode that we had in the studio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dan DiDio stepping down, and so...
Stepping down? You mean getting fired in the office?
Getting the boot.
And walked right out with a security guard. Yeah, there was no dignity in that whatsoever. DC, what a horrible time to have that happen to them. Okay. We do have some... I don't know if it's good news, but it's news that we've needed. Mm-hmm. And that is that Black Widow finally has a release date.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, you go see New Mutants today on a 4/3. It's a planned release date.
Oh yeah, I totally didn't see that movie because it's cursed.
I just want to see the damn thing at this point. I don't like. It didn't show up on their Disney put out a new list for release dates for all their major movies. New Mutants wasn't on there. Just give me the damn thing already.
I think that maybe something is happening. I think that I would not be surprised if within like 2 weeks' time, we're all sitting in our little isolation rooms watching New Mutants on Hulu.
Well, hopefully, fingers crossed for the Hulu original New Mutants.
At this point, I would just be happy if somebody in production just said, screw it, and like released the movie digitally, like to the pirates or something like what Ryan Reynolds did with the Deadpool trailer.
Just put it on YouTube.
Yeah, just throw it out there, just for the masses to freaking finally devour. I mean, it's not like this movie needs to make money to get a sequel. It just really needs to recoup its original monies and just move on. I mean, there's no sequel possibilities with this movie at all. Just let's throw a couple million in profit at the studio and move on.
Yeah. So, but with that said, our new MCU release schedule is Black Widow on November 6th of this year, 2020. The Eternals on February 12th, 2021. Shang-Chi on May 7th, 2021. Doctor Strange, November 5th, 2021. Thor on my birthday, February 28th, 2022. And Captain Marvel 2 on July 7th, 2022. So, no words on where the Spider movies are getting moved to, but we'll see. So that's Sony's court, so...
Yeah, but Sony did announce the fact that they had stopped production before the July recording of Spider-Man 3. So their pre-production basically got halted. So who knows what's going on with that? But what I want to talk about is Shang-Chi, because it doesn't seem like they're really pushing that one very far out.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't really...
It seems
I guess they figured since it's coming out, it was already planned to come out next spring, that they just kind of had to bump it down a bit. But it's weird that they have it go from February to May. That seems like a really small window. And then you have to wait until November. I feel like they would have been better just June or June.
That makes me feel like most of the photography is already done.
Oh, probably, yeah.
And they're probably just doing post, because if they're just doing post, you could do that with this whole COVID thing going on. And if they're done with photography and they haven't announced it, that's kind of weird.
I do think with all the tumultuous behind the scenes stuff with Doctor Strange 2, November 5th is a very, very bold projection for that.
Yeah, I think productions are going to get a little tight.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as the whole world has changed and entertainment really is at a standstill, these companies have got to get their money. It doesn't pay to sit on your hands. So
Disney will kill 1,000 employees before it lets this company die.
Yeah, so when the car starts, you could bet your ass that they're going to be spitting nitro into the engine, Mad Max style. I think we're going to hear a lot of things going on from companies like Disney and Paramount and all the other companies that are basically just hardcore pushing their production schedules.
I will say kudos to Bob Iger for forgoing his paycheck to get people more paid. Like, that's one of the better.
That's a stand-up thing.
As much as loath as I am to admit CEOs and executives doing good, that was a good one.
Yeah, and he's not the only one that's actually done that. I want to remember, but I know that at least one other CEO is basically emptying his entire income for the year and giving it to the employees that are basically his essential line. It's like, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool stuff. Not obviously not on the same scale. But one cool thing I saw, Jim Lee is auctioning off a bunch of original art pieces to support a bunch of comic book stores. Oh, that was pretty neat.
I like how you put that, because we both know the real byline on that one is Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld both did that.
Well,
I like how you surgically removed the cancer from that story.
Well, I wanted to talk about positive news, so.
I'm not going to give that guy an inch.
Not today.
So, yeah, a little sad. We didn't get to see New Mutants. I'm just touching my face all like I really shouldn't be. I heard something on NPR. This CDC representative was talking about how often we actually touch our face, and the numbers are just, in one day, the average person touches their face, even for a brief second, 2,000 times.
That makes sense.
I was like, wow.
Can't keep my hands off my face.
I can't either. I was in the grocery store today before we were recording, and I went in with a mask on, and I was having to lug stuff around. I had this big old thing of water. It was like 50 freaking pounds worth of water bottles. And I get into my car and I take the mask off and I'm breathing heavy and I'm like, ah. And I'm like, I haven't even washed my hands, sanitized my hands. They've been all over the grocery store. I took the mask off and completely defeated the whole purpose of wearing it.
Disgusting.
I am a disgusting face toucher.
And I think that's going to pretty well wrap it up for this week. I know it's a short episode, but
yeah,
short times.
We could spend some time crapping on Rob Liefeld, but I feel like we've got tons of episodes to do that in the future.
Yeah. And I don't want to pile up.
We also talk about Bloodshot and how I was totally right that thing was going to bomb.
I mean, it had the single worst luck of any movie besides New Mutants, but
and like I said, you could blame The Contagion for its crashing, but I mean, it was fourth place behind a faith-based drama. What's the likelihood of that defeating a superhero movie of any caliber? Unless, of course, you're garbage, and that's what Bloodshot is.
I mean, it was literally that weekend, though, is when things started happening.
It really is. It really is.
So,
I mean, I hope that they get their money back with these $20 rentals that they've been advertising for it.
I want to check it out. I don't know if I want $20 to check it out, but
I don't want $20 to check it out. So, I'm going to let you watch it. Let you be the guinea pig, and you can get back to me and tell me if it's like so bad it's good.
Yeah, my first
like
response to it was like, oh yeah, you just get a group together and just divvy it out. I was like, wait a minute, can't do that right now.
We could do one of those YouTube watch parties or something like that. I think Netflix does something where they sync up the video and everybody watches it. Maybe me, and
I don't think Amazon's gonna let you do that with a $20 rental.
Probably not. It was a thought.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And,
that pretty much does wrap it up here with us here at Hazardous Materials. We're gonna try to keep this going. Next week we're gonna do a little book club thing. I'm gonna finally read the Vision 12 issue limited series in graphic novel form.
Woo!
And me and Gideon, we're gonna talk about it because I know Gideon has been wanting to talk about this title for quite some time.
It is one of my favorite comics of the past decade. You might remember it if you watched that episode, which you should go back. A lot of great reading recommendations in that episode.
Yes, and Gideon and our production team decided this is the perfect way to force me to read this book and be beholden to a schedule. So this is what we're gonna do.
You got a whole damn week to do it.
A whole damn week. So next week, if we hear any really cool Marvel or DC news, we're definitely going to talk about it. If any comics somehow come out, which they aren't, we'll talk about that too. But we're probably going to be talking about Vision. So that's all for us here at Hazardous Materials. We'll see you next week.